Hi, and thanks for tuning in to the Ethanol Producer Magazine video podcast. I am your host, Anna Simet. I am here live from the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Expo in Minneapolis. And here with me today, I have Tim O'Mara and Kameryn Furman from Burns and McDonnell. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into things. Burns and McDonnell. Would you tell us a little bit more about the company?
Sure. Cam, you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Burns McDonnell is an engineering, procurement, construction company primarily, and so we support our clients in a variety of different industries, from power generation to environmental services, to where both Tim and I sit inside of our oil, gas, and chemicals group. And so in the ethanol space, we would work in either ethanol production or carbon capture, sequestration, sustainable aviation fuel, all of those types of markets. But very diverse company with a lot of different business units that engineer, procure, construct almost anything.
Okay, got it. So let's talk about the ethanol space. What are some themes that you're seeing from your clients on projects?
Oh, good question to start us off. So, some of the themes are things that we've seen over the years. They're plant projects to keep the plants in operation. Many of these plants are 20 years old now, and so some things are starting to wear out, and we help our clients with those ongoing maintenance and repair projects. But we also do larger capital projects, and so we're very interested in helping the ethanol plants adapt to changing marketplace. A good example of that would be recovery of corn oil. So we've been very active in the renewable diesel build out, and renewable diesel loves distillers corn oil. We take just as much of that as we can for production of renewable diesel. And we've built about half the renewable diesel capacity in the U.S. So it's a great market, and we get to see really from a front row seat how the ethanol industry has been a great provider of feedstock, and the end users to produce the renewable diesel have made good use of that feedstock to satisfy the LCFS market in California. But we recognize that that's not the only low-carbon feedstock that the ethanol industry can provide. A limited amount of distillers corn oil, but quite a bit more ethanol is available as a low-carbon feedstock. Already very good, but the opportunities to improve that seem to be pretty dramatic with carbon capture and some of the other opportunities for carbon intensity reduction through use of cogeneration, through electrification, renewable gas, and other opportunities to reduce the carbon intensity of the ethanol produced.
Yeah, and I can piggyback on that. We're seeing a lot of interest in the carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration space for the ethanol industry, primarily around that 45Q and the ability to get that incentive while also getting LCFS and RCFS incentives like Tim had mentioned, and then reducing the CI score so that as we progress in the SAF market, the sustainable aviation fuel market, that they're pre-positioned to have that lower CI score carbon intensity to move into that.
Okay, so we're hearing so much about SAF or SAF. Why isn't every ethanol producer wanting to convert to SAF?
Well, another great question. I think I've heard more about SAF at this show than any other topic.
Yeah.
And, there's a tremendous amount of interest in SAF. And SAF is being produced now. Already mentioned renewable diesel, and it's a tweak for those plants to begin to produce SAF utilizing existing kit. But the real opportunity, of course, is to expand beyond that and use alcohol as the feedstock. And we're seeing a lot of interest in that from our clients. We've done a number of projects where we've evaluated technologies, and the technology is fabulous. The dehydration of ethanol to ethylene opens up an entire market of ethylene-derived products. Things like ethylene glycol, ethylene acetate, uh, polyethylene, polypropylene, all possible. But the real target right now is that SAF, and we're seeing strong signals from the government that they support that. The 45Z credits that should take place at the end of the year create a strong opportunity. So the market is poised to support that development, but there are many, many challenges that have to be solved in order to take advantage of that opportunity.
Right. Okay, so carbon capture. It plays a big role in the creation of SAF, and pipeline approval will be pivotal for projects in the Midwest. What are you seeing in the market?
Yeah, so it's very exciting to see how many of the pipelines are starting to build momentum. So with Navigator pipeline being canceled last year, there was a little blip in that. But then now with Trailblazer and then also with Summit and seeing folks like Valero and Poet sign on to the Summit pipeline, we're really starting to see that start to pick back up again. And that's really boosted interest for our clients in the carbon capture market. So we're seeing a lot of our clients looking at all of the pieces to the carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration puzzle. So looking at point source capture, as well as the dehydration and compression, like Tim was mentioning, the transport to a pipeline, through a pipeline, and then also the sequestration into the ground and the permitting that goes along with that. And so as we see them looking at all of those different puzzle pieces, they're starting to look at Burns McDonnell and others that can do all of those puzzle pieces and put them together under a single roof. And so that's what's been really exciting, is seeing all of these different pieces that can come back together to make a single carbon capture puzzle.
That makes sense. So primacy seems to be the next trend in getting CCUS permitting approved faster. With Louisiana having just received primacy late last year and Texas looking to receive theirs later this year, how do you plan for and account for this?
Yeah, it's having Louisiana along with Wyoming and North Dakota who have primacy, and then Texas and Arizona who are going through the process right now, the application process. It's really helping the feasible projects move forward quickly in those spaces. That's wonderful for the states that have primacy. That's picking up some momentum there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not as many ethanol facilities in those states, right? It's typically in the Midwest. So I would say around the ethanol space, it hasn't moved as much of the needle as we would see. But one thing that I do think is really exciting is the EPA just recently put up a new dashboard, so you can keep track of your permits a little bit easier through the permitting process and the application approval. So there's been 138 applications that have gone in, and only 4 that have decisions made, whether that's positive or not. But you can now keep a little bit easier track of your own and others to see where those are in the permitting process.
Okay. Can we back it up just a bit? Could you actually explain what primacy is for our viewers who may not know?
Yes, I can do like a high level, and I'll let Tim take a little bit more of the technical piece to it. But it's essentially delegating some of the approval process from the federal government to the state level to be able to move that forward a little bit quicker.
Well, that's it in sum and substance, but the EPA has the opportunity to delegate some of its regulatory responsibilities to the states and allow them to make the decisions closer to where the project will happen. That certainly adds a lot of capability for the permit reviews and allows for much faster decisions.
Right.
So we think that's really a good thing. It would be awfully nice if every ethanol plant was located where primacy could help. But since that's not the case, we think there are other solutions, and pipelines are a key part of that.
Okay. Thank you for that. So you've previously talked about a clone design for carbon capture projects. Can you tell us a little bit more about that approach?
Yeah, so it's an option for speed to market for clients. And so speed to market is key, right, as we're going through new markets together. And individual plants could design and procure and construct their own carbon capture facilities. But there's a big opportunity with a lot of the ethanol facilities being similar in size and relatively similar in configuration, to where you could take a cloned or an almost cloned carbon capture unit from facility to facility, so that you already have the design mostly done and can make adjustments or smaller adjustments from facility to facility. So it's an opportunity to save time, it's an opportunity to save money on the engineering side of it. It also helps with standardization of equipment, so you've got these large compressors, and being able to know what size and where to go for equipment like that is very beneficial. And then it's something that's good for somebody who has maybe a single site, but it's great for somebody who has a fleet of ethanol facilities and can look for maybe one or two different configurations that they could do for their suite of projects.
That makes sense.
Yeah, another one of the real opportunities there is having early information to share with utility suppliers. The electrical demands associated with carbon CO2 compression are really significant. In many cases, it'll double the electrical consumption at an ethanol plant site. And so being able to provide early and reliable information to the utility is an important part of being able to accelerate the project for the shortest time for speed to market. So it just offers a lot of benefits to ethanol producers, because when those pipelines can take CO2, you want to be able to take advantage of that as soon as possible.
Right. Okay, so I read a white paper that you guys authored on carbon accounting, where the premise was about how these biofuel projects require a different economic model and how the incentives are really changing the way these projects are being developed. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, biofuels, of course, are a big piece of it, but the recognition that carbon is an important consideration is still relatively new. For many years, we measured product and process efficiencies really in terms of dollars. And dollars are a great measure. You can do a lot with them, but it's not the whole story. We're still trying to understand what the value of carbon is in terms of emissions and overall impact on climate. So until we have a common understanding, one way to deal with that is through the consideration of carbon emissions associated with each step along the way. So from the fuel, or let's change that. Let's say from the field to the flight line, the corn producers' carbon intensity, the ethanol plant's carbon intensity, transportation to an SAF producer, SAF energy consumption, carbon requirements to transfer the fuel to a blender, and finally to take it to the airport. All along the way, there's opportunities for coordination and collaboration to minimize the carbon impact of SAF. So there are tremendous opportunities. And that white paper talks about how that is important for every step of the production process. And it's really a new way of looking at things. And it's really nice that Burns & Mac offers those opportunities for people to learn about things. That white paper is one of many that we have available through our website, where thought leadership is available to interested people who want to learn just a little bit more about what those issues are and perhaps how Burns & Mac could help.
So what's next for you guys?
It's a wonderful question. It's been great being here and seeing all of the movement that's happened inside of the ethanol space. Besides just what we're doing here, we're seeing movement in other markets for SAF. We're seeing renewable diesel continue in its entirety, and so it's been great to see all of these different markets and how they all are starting to come back together to work together.
I think that's it. It's a collaboration, and I think there have been people who have been talking at the FEW for many years about the opportunity to have net zero, and we get closer to it every year, and it's exciting to see that. And Burns & Mac is happy to participate in every step along the way.
absolutely.
Well, very good. This has been really interesting and insightful, Tim and Kameryn. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, we want to say thank you for having us, and you know, coming to this conference year after year. And I'll throw it out there. It's Tim's 20th year
That's
at
right.
this conference.
20th.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
The time flies by.
Right? It sure does.
So we're happy to be here year after year supporting our clients and all of the folks in this space. And thank you, Anna, for having us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And to our viewers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.